It's the third largest state in the union. It's the 17th largest economy on Earth. If you were to aggregate the assets, the resources and the talent, the capital for the state of Florida, I mean, we would have the gross domestic product of most continents. What happens in particular in the I-4 corridor up through the Space Coast, it's mind-blowing. And in innovation, it's a rather special place.
We have Florida Poly and Publix in Lakeland. We have the defense technology in Tampa Bay, the Space Coast and everything taking place there. We're gonna be at a launch a day coming up in the near future. The simulation going on in Orlando. There's a lot happening and we really can be a world leader in innovation very easily.
Florida is going from being a place where things were simply launched or put out into service, and it's quickly becoming a spot where innovation happens.
What entrepreneurs are sort of an indicator that they ultimately kind of create what amounts to be a thriving community, or they help create it. They tend to, when they become wealthy, they tend to become philanthropists, right? When they hire more people more quickly, economically across the board, from social services organizations to the arts, to restaurants, to housing, everything gets better when businesses grow and scale in a community.
Brew Hub was conceptualized in 2012, and then we opened our doors here in Lakeland, Florida in 2014. Unlike our competitors that are contract brewers, we are a partner brewer. There are a ton of great craft brewers out there, but the demand outpaced their supply. We truly partner with these breweries, and we're not just selling them tank space. We'll help them with everything they need, from legal advice, helping them with graphic design. We have a fully automated 100-barrel brew house, 100-barrel, 200-barrel, and 300-barrel fermenters, state-of-the-art packaging equipment, and then a true point of differentiation here at Brew Hub is our lab.
So Drone Launch Academy is a drone education company. We primarily help people pass the FAA knowledge exam that you need to take to become a commercial drone pilot, and then after that we help people learn about new commercial applications so they can perform their jobs more safely and more efficiently. So our company is located in Lakeland, Florida. I operate out of the Catapult building right now. We've been here for about 3 years. I started the company back when I was still working for the FBI. So my original interest in drones came from when I was in the flight program at FIT in Melbourne. I got my pilot's license there, and then fast forward several years, and drones are becoming more and more popular. And at the time, you had to have your pilot's license to fly drones commercially, so it was a perfect matchup of my past experience at FIT into this new emerging technology that I could start a business around. And that just evolved into an online course for people trying to pass the FAA knowledge exam that you now have to take. And it kept growing and growing and outpaced my FBI job eventually, so I left that about 1.5 years ago to do this full-time.
Synapse is a 501c3 nonprofit that was sort of architected from day one to organize the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem in the region here in Tampa Bay and throughout the state of Florida.
Synapse really, from anywhere in the world, is the first all-inclusive community of entrepreneurs, investors, service providers, support organizations, educational institutions, government, talent, and mature corporations. We really focus on those 8 groups in a very big way.
Florida traditionally is a state of metropolitan cities. You talk about Lakeland, Tampa Bay, Orlando, the Space Coast, Miami, even Gainesville with the big university up there, and of course Tallahassee, Pensacola, Jacksonville. So it's a big, big state, all doing their own thing. So our goal is to start building bridges around the early stage ecosystem players in those metropolitan areas.
Everybody's got something to offer. So our job at Synapse is to sort of organize so that if you're an investor, you can find the kind of deals you want. If you're a team member, you're graduating school, transitioning out of the military, moving here, you find the kind of company you want to work with. If you're a founder, you find early adopter customers. If you're a corporation, you find talent and you get involved in the community and you find companies that you can buy and technology you can ingest. We're sort of like the first step on everybody's journey.
Rocket Crafters is a startup, small satellite launch company, headquartered right here in Cocoa, Florida, in the Space Coast. And right now we're moving out of a research and development phase of the company and starting to move towards operational tests and production. So we've spent about the last 2.5 years testing out our hybrid rocket engine design, proving that we've solved the problems that have plagued hybrids for almost a century. And now we're transitioning to actual flight tests and ultimately commercial operations. Rocket Crafters was started to meet the demands of the small satellite industry. There's a fairly significant unmet demand out there for launching small satellites 500 to 600 kilograms or lower into specific orbits for constellations.
The Vieira Company is a wholly owned subsidiary of A. Duda & Sons, a 94-year-old family-owned organization. We oversee the development of the master plan community of Vieira, which is over 20,000 acres in size, in the heart of the Space Coast market. The Vieira Company has pursued an entrepreneurial approach to business. We are a large stakeholder in Brevard County, and we are changing not only the landscape within the property that's known as Vieira, but Brevard County as a whole and the connections to the region outside of Brevard County. And we're ranked nationally within the top 25 best-selling master plan communities.
Groundswell is a nonprofit organization. We're a high-tech incubator and co-working space. At the heart of everything we do is bringing high-quality mentors to our startup community. Our big goal is to see companies have big exits on the Space Coast, but also fostering an environment that allows startups to exceed, or somebody with an idea can come in and really get all the resources they need to get started. One of our most successful companies that we're really proud of is Tomahawk Robotics. They are right next door, part of our incubator space. They've used our mentors and our resources to grow, and what we're most excited about is that we're actually renovating the building next door because they've outgrown this space. This is a great problem to have, but we really want to keep them here on the Space Coast, and we see this area growing as a tech village and really fostering the sense of entrepreneurship and a place where creatives can go as their space, and so we're excited to see their success. It's a story that lets people know that that type of success can happen here on the Space Coast.
At Tomahawk Robotics, we make robots safe, easy, and effective through better software. We are using technology to allow workers to be more safe doing their job, do their job with greater safety and with greater precision, whether it be in mining, oil and gas, or the security and defense industry. And akin to what Android or Windows did for their respective markets, that's what we do for the robotics market. And that is to work across different robotic platforms with the same software. I was a veteran, I was in the service, and obviously saw people hurt or worse. And using technology to allow people to come home is a big deal for me. And that to me is using those experiences that I had in the military combined with my business experiences to create a great product that has value, enduring value for people in the service is a big part of why I'm here today.
The other way that Synapse really provides value is we run purpose-driven events. And these are not just events where you're gonna see a trade show floor and walk up and down aisles and pick up a pamphlet. These are very much value-based in a way to help people find connections and to curate connections. The Synapse Summit has grown immensely from the first event that we held in March of 2018, where we had 3,500 people show up. And we're really looking forward to the Synapse Summit February 11th and 12th, 2020 at Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, where we'll have between 6,000 and 7,000 people from across the state of Florida.
I've watched this company grow from its very early beginnings, where it was done in home offices and weekends for no pay, to a functioning company with $1 million or more in the bank, 48 successful test fires, and a pending test launch coming up in the spring. The future for our company, we're going to be expanding significantly over the next year to year and a half, moving into additional office space, and more importantly, building our first production facility. And that's going to be a fairly large facility where we build the engines, we assemble the stages, but it's only the tip of the iceberg, because we're going to need companies to manufacture the materials that we use for the engines, that manufacture the aeroshells. We're already in discussions with several companies that want to build production plants to feed us also here in the Space Coast area.
So we brew for other people here at Brew Hub, but we also have developed our own portfolio. Our core brands, Rome City, Diver Down, and Key Billy, and then our fourth is Matte Black. That really helped us as a brewery because people would often see us as a producer for other breweries, but then all of a sudden that gave us our own identity and our sales just took off from there. So 17, 18, and 19, we've experienced double to triple digit growth on those three brands. They went from less than 10% of our overall revenue to almost 30%.
I started Drone Launch Academy back in 2016, and we now have 10 team members, and we're on track to do over $1 million in revenue in 2019. Central Florida is a great place for me right now to have this business because there's so much population growth and interest in technology that I've been able to find really good talent in this area to help add to my team as we continue to grow.
We've been in operations just about 2 years now, and we've made some remarkable progress over the last 2 years. Our first year of operations, we did about $750,000 in total sales, and we'll more than triple that this year. And our progress in the from an orders perspective, we've closed about $3.5 million of orders within the last. In 2018, we added our first employee in about April. We were up to 3. By this time last year, we were at 7 full-time employees. And heading into January, we'll be crossing the 20-person threshold. I'm very, very pleased about the progress we've made, and I think, frankly, it's a result of where we are here on the Space Coast. Great access to a very talented engineering community, and one that we've been able to leverage to our betterment.
Brew Hub is proudly located in Lakeland, Florida. I think the I-4 corridor has had a lot to do with our growth. I think visibility alone right off of the interstate. The bulk of our business is in distribution, so for fairly obvious reasons, this has been amazing for us because the trucks can easily pick up here and distribute to the whole state. Keep beer fresh, get it there quickly.
Rocket Crafters actually was not founded in Florida. We were founded in Utah, and we relocated to Florida to be here on the Space Coast. I see a lot of growth opportunity here on the Space Coast and in the surrounding areas because as we build, we're already in discussions with at least 2 companies that want to build manufacturing plants to feed us our parts, our raw materials, and I'm watching the same thing happen with other space companies as they relocate here. Those natural advantages that brought us will bring them as well.
I think Lakeland's done an amazing job at inspiring entrepreneurship. We're lucky here in Lakeland to have the spirit of support that I don't think every city has.
If you ever want to see one of the most community-oriented groups of people look at the entrepreneur, go to a co-working space where a lot of entrepreneurs, 1, 2, 3-person companies are working, and see how they help each other out. And then you see the successful entrepreneurs, and as they continue to build and grow their companies, and they love to be the first ones to give back to the community, to give back philanthropically, to become investors, to become mentors. And the more entrepreneurs that are successful, the more success we see for the community.
30 years ago, just before the groundbreaking of the community here in Viera, the focus on the Space Coast, Central Florida, was on agriculture and tourism. And that's changed. Now we've evolved. Technology, aerospace, defense contracting, master plan communities, implementing the best practices from examples around the country.
So it's an exciting time to be alive. It's an incredibly exciting time to be alive. Unlike any time in history, there are more innovations that are really disruptive happening simultaneously. So we've had waves of innovation that have changed a lot of things, but they've usually been one thing. But simultaneously, we have everything from autonomous vehicles to augmented reality and virtual reality, to machine learning, to robotics, to 3D printing, and the list goes on.
It's easy to look up into the sky and get inspired in this area. We have launches happening, seems monthly now, and we intend to see them happening weekly. As an entrepreneur and a small startup, if you can come and be surrounded by other people who have such lofty goals, it starts to create an environment where you're sharpening your neighbors, and we're seeing economic and technological growth happening mutually for everyone.
It is essential for us to be connected to the I-4 region and beyond, because everything is about collaboration. I think to solve the complex problems that are in front of us, we know that we have to bring competing industries together, we have to bring nonprofits together, the public sector, the private sector, and work together on these really complex things that face us. So I think the more that we can collaborate and have partners, the bigger our network gets. Kind of that rising tide lifts all boats, and it's really about showing what we can do as a state, as a community, and what we can do for the companies that we want to help.